Well, welcome back. Over the weekend, we received a text question from viewer Cassandra, and she asked, why do we have something called Omicron XE and now the avian flu? What is this happening? We can't catch a break from COVID-19 to bad weather. Now this with the new variants, and there is the norovirus going around too. Well, Cassandra, we definitely understand your frustration with all that. Going in depth on all those things would take hours, but we can take the next 15 minutes to dig into one of your concerns, and that would be the avian flu. From its impact on birds here in North Carolina to its role in the rise in grocery store prices and even how it can impact your health. We want to explain everything you need to know about this. So first and foremost, what is the avian flu? Also called bird flu and H5N1, it is a virus that naturally occurs in wild birds. The CDC says it can infect domestic poultry and other birds and animal species. The virus is very contagious among birds, and some strains of the virus can even kill certain domesticated bird species. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says North Carolina is one of 32 states with at least one confirmed case of avian flu. The State Department of Agriculture says it has found 9 outbreaks of bird flu at commercial turkey and chicken farms. Now, 3 of those outbreaks were in Johnston County, 6 of them in Wayne. In total, over 481,000 birds were infected in those flocks in North Carolina. So we're talking about poultry from infected flocks. They are then euthanized. That's what happens. Now, because of the threat of bird flu, North Carolina has suspended all poultry shows and public sales, and that includes all exhibitions, farm tours, shows, sales, flea markets, auctions, swaps, and meets. It's not only harder to buy chickens, but you're also going to find yourself paying more for poultry products. Omar Villafranca is taking a closer look at the bird flu's impact on egg prices.
Your morning breakfast price is going up all the way from the eggs, but to the bacon and the toast and everything else.
Livestock economist David Anderson says the worst avian flu outbreak in 7 years has killed more than 20 million birds in 24 states and has chipped away at the egg supply and pushed prices up.
It takes time to adjust to higher prices and higher costs. You don't just snap your fingers and get more production.
Sam Miller has more than 8,000 hungry mouths to feed every day at Cedar Ridge Egg Farm in Northeast Texas. The rising cost of the corn and wheat feed is forcing Miller to raise his egg prices. His feed bill for his growing business is up nearly $7,000 a month.
I don't jack my price up. I make a little bit. I don't make a lot off my egg.
Last year, the national average for a dozen large white eggs was $1.60. Now it's up to $2.50.
So what about a way to fight the egg price increase, keeping poultry healthy? Experts say it's important for chicken owners at all levels to help stop the spread of bird flu.
If you are thinking of doing it in a small scale, just in the backyard, make sure you're informed about, okay, what are the responsibilities and how do we best do this to care for the animals so they can provide for you.
All right, there's lots of people who have chickens in the backyard, so here are some signs of bird flu to look out for.
Sudden die-off of a large number of the birds. If they have respiratory problems, crusty eyes, discoloration of their heads, swollen heads, that type of thing, or just generally ill like that.
Well, to protect its birds, the Greensboro Science Center closed their bird exhibits to the public. Since the virus is a natural part of the bird population, the center says it started taking precautions at the beginning of the year.
We just really appreciate the guests kind of being patient with us because we do have a lot of our birds that are inside, or we've had to make modifications to exhibits because we do have to be really cautious about everything. We've had to put a pause on a lot of our encounters that we might do.
Right now, no date has been set for the exhibits to reopen. The North Carolina Zoo's aviary is also closed to the public. Well, that exhibit closed in January after the very first cases of avian flu in wild bird populations were found this year. Since that first case, the U.S. Department of Agriculture says they've identified the avian flu in 143 wild birds across 11 different counties. Infected species include multiple kinds of ducks, a pelican, a red-shouldered hawk, and even several bald eagles. One of those bald eagles was found dead in Davidson County. Now, because the avian flu is transmitted from bird to bird and even by coming in contact with contaminated surfaces, experts are asking you, just the everyday person, to put away backyard staples.
So we don't quite have the great data about what is the risk of bird feeders and anything we as humans can do to stop potentially spreading it. So by not bringing birds together artificially because of bird feeders could only help our avian friends right now.
Along with bird feeders, experts also recommend putting away your bird baths away for now as well. Now, if you find a large number of wild birds dead in one area, or you keep a flock of birds and you notice them acting differently or sick, the State Department of Agriculture wants you to report it. Here in the Triad, you can call the Elkin branch of the NC Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory System. And so we have that number for you on your screen. You might want to just grab your phone, take a screenshot of this phone number right now. It's one of the easiest ways to do it. If you miss it, of course, we'll be able to give it to you online.